Today is Thursday, the 6th of August, and let's spare a moment just to think about the people of Beirut who suffered that terrible bomb blast 2 days ago. That's left 135 dead, over 4,000 people injured, and 300,000 people displaced from their homes. I spent a week in Beirut a few years ago. It is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And so we really think about the suffering of the people there. The bomb blast there, or not the bomb blast, but the explosion there, has sort of really made me think again about the extent of suffering and death that we're experiencing in the world at the moment through COVID. Just a month or two ago, I could only name one person that I sort of knew had been infected with COVID. Now I can name dozens, and I can name several names of people that I know who have died. It feels as if death is really kind of present in the world at the moment, that we are very mindful of how fragile life is and how mortality is just a step away, how quickly life can be snuffed out, how fragile our life is, how tenuous our hold on this experience of being alive, and how much we have to invest to preserve our lives and the things that we give up so that we can maintain this life. And that seems to fit quite nicely, or at least it resonated for me in my mind quite well with today, the 6th of August. Today is the day when many churches throughout the world, particularly in the Western world, celebrate the transfiguration of our Lord. This is the event that is narrated by Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where Jesus goes up the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and in their presence he transfigures. In a sense, he reveals to them his divine nature, and they see him speaking with Elijah and with Moses. Now let me read you the passage that's set for today, which is the version from Luke. I'm just going to read you the first few verses. It's Luke chapter 9 from verse 28. About 8 days ago, after Jesus had said this, he took Peter, John, and James with him, and he went up onto a mountain to pray. As he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor, talking with Jesus. They spoke about his exodus, which he was about to bring to fulfillment at Jerusalem. And the story has fascinated theologians and biblical scholars over the centuries. And I think one could probably talk about this for a few days at end, because it is so rich in understanding and in our thoughtfulness about who Jesus is, about what the disciples saw, about what they heard God speaking about who the Son of his is that he loves so much, about Jesus telling them to be quiet and not to tell anybody about it afterwards. But today, as I reflect on it from where we are here in 2020, it emphasizes for me that the line between this world that we know and that world that is the world of eternity, the world of God, of heaven, of the spiritual realm, that they are this close together. This close. I think sometimes in our world, even though we are living in a postmodern era, we are still so modernist in our thinking. We think about the world in such tangible, practical ways. Even in psychology, where we think that we work with the mind, which is something intangible and slightly mystical and unknowable, is being reduced to neurons and chemicals and synaptic pathways. We are so materialistic in our approach. We think of the world in these physical terms. Many people have given up a belief in the soul many people have given up a belief in an afterlife, a belief in a heavenly realm or of God. They believe that what I can see and touch, that's all that exists. But in this narrative, Peter, James, and John are given this unique privilege to see almost like the heavens have been parted like a curtain, and they're able to peek through this curtain and look to the other side and see eternity. They see Jesus not just as their rabbi, as their teacher, as their prophet, as the wise man, but they see him as God the Son, revealed in all of his splendor. And they see Moses and Elijah speaking to him on either side, these great heroes of the Jewish faith. It must have been quite remarkable for them to see that. There's a verse that comes just after that has really struck me today. It's verse 32, Luke 9, verse 32. Peter and his companions, James and John, were very sleepy, Luke says. They were very sleepy. But when they became fully awake, they saw his glory. That's such an interesting phrase. They were very sleepy, but when they were fully awake, they saw his glory. I was thinking, why would Luke have written that? And perhaps it's because if they were sleepy, this might have just been a dream. You know how it is when you're in that kind of dreamy state, when you're sort of half awake but not there yet, you're still kind of half asleep and you're still dreaming. And so all the kind of the craziness and the imagination of our dreams are still playing out. But here Luke says that when they were fully awake, not when they were still in that twilight zone, when they were fully awake, fully conscious, had their full logic and critical faculties in place, then they saw Jesus' glory. He wants us to know that this other world that's just on this side is absolutely real. It is absolutely real. And in a sense, we experience that now because we see how easy it is for us to cross from the living into the dead. It's just a moment away. This life is so fragile. We can slip out of it at just a moment. So I went for a walk this morning, not a very long walk, just a 20-minute walk, just before I've given this message. And as I was walking, and the sun was just rising, so the sky still had that lovely orange hue as the sun was emerging and beginning to go blue, the sky. I was just thinking how present God is in the world. And how wonderful it would be if we could all be really fully awake and perceive the glory of God in everything that we do. Whether it's going for a walk and looking at the sky and the clouds and the trees and the birds, or whether it's at home washing dishes or doing laundry, or whether we're at work answering emails on a computer, helping customers, teaching students, working with patients, balancing books, whatever it is, raising our families, taking care of our neighbors, coming to church. If we could recognize and perceive the glory of God that is just here, we could almost just reach out and touch it. It is so close. Peter, James, and John saw that when they were fully awake. How wonderful it would be if we could really be fully awake and perceive it also.